Here it is. Or part of it. There's the rest of it. And of course we have a manual also. So what we are now trying to fix is electronic throttle system for the motorboat, that you can have multiple throttle levers on the boat, and you just select with button what throttle you are using, and then correspondingly when you move the lever front or backward, it should first pull first cable here to pull the forward or reverse gear in, and after that you keep putting the more throttle, the another cable here, almost in the frame. Here is pulling the throttle linkage. And this unit did full throttle on the harbor, but luckily without gear, so the boat did not do anything really stupid, because on harbor you don't have much of space, and if the boat will create a full throttle in gear, you are basically fucked up. But this unit does only full throttle and do not respond on the throttle lever. So let's try to open the unit and take off the cables. And after that we can probably start to powering the unit and see what it's doing. Here is a label. If you are interested of that. Alright, do I have too much light? I will try to take off some lights that we are not creating anything so important. Right. It will look already really interesting. and already we see a problem. I will leave the camera here and take a tiny cup of tea. And meanwhile, you can try to see what is wrong with the unit. I have one hint. It is kind of brown and branded as Nichicon. Yeah. If you saw it, it is here. There is a caps branded as Nichicon. And we have a horrible damage on the motor driver and also a fucked up PC port there. So basically now we don't have to power the unit. I have to take off the cables that I have a little bit more room for to play. Then we are taking the PC port out and trying to see what is happened there. So what is causing the problem? The camera is not focusing. I'm sorry for the bad focus, but I will try my best. I'm not a cameraman. I'm just repairman. Alright. What now? Now I can take off the cable. Probably I need a little bit more tools now. I will leave that there, and let's see. Oh crap, I have a tools missing, but at least I can start guessing what size it is. Alright, it is not a metric system. I'm guessing that it is a half an inch, because 11 millimeters is not going to fit, and 12 is too much. But let's try. I'm a bit too lazy now to get the proper tools for the job, so I am trying to do it what I have now here. And it is not working. I'm now a bit confused. How actually take off the cable. Probably I will leave them as they are now. Because I want more opening for the unit. how hard it could be. I have already taken off a lot of screws, and still it's still hanging there, and don't want to come off even nearly. This is not promising at all. We have a burn mark on the cover, and it is from the main IC. So frustrating. I thought that it could be really fun repair, to do something way different what I use normally, what I do normally. But at now, when we are seeing the damage, what is here, that should probably be repairable. I am not any concerned from this area, but that is bummer, because there is something lifted off. And I am afraid that the soul of the unit is escaped now. It is shame. For now, I'm guessing that only thing what I can now do for the unit is probably try to read the chip number, if it's still readable, and try to figure out am I able to pull off the programming from the chip, that I can replace the new chip and reprogram it. Another option could be just throw the new microcontroller in, of course after the repair from the motor control area. But if we toss a new IC there, it has to be programmed, and I am now trying to see is there any G-tag connector. What I could use for the programming. Of course, if I even can get the new program somewhere, or programming tools for the job. So it's not looking good. It's not looking good at all. I will pause the video because I feel now so frustrated and a little bit sad. I have to think up that situation a little bit by myself. And try to figure out that what options I have for repairing these units. I will come back when I have some idea what we could try, or is it just unfixable thingy. Yeah. I'm running out of the battery, but there is nothing much interesting to see at now. I will put the camera on charging, and I decided to just hit and try. I will replace the motor driver chip. I ordered them from the eBay, and there is a slight possibility that the whole programming of the unit is stored here. So it might be possible to just change the CPU, what I also ordered from the eBay. So yeah, I will put my camera in the charger and take off the main CPU and perhaps solder in new motor driver. And if my camera is enough battery, then I will try to film the soldering process of the new chip. Yes. here is new motor drive is a chip, and here is new CPU, and it was kinda so boring to watch because I don't have a microscope cam. I have only my overhead. So if I was soldering the main CPU chip, you only perhaps could see my head in front of the camera. So I spared you that part. And now, moment of truth. What is going to happen? I have basically no idea. I haven't tried it yet. But let's try to do some kind of setup here that we can monitor also the current, what the board is taking. If is it taking? I don't know. I haven't tried. Yeah, let's try. Annoying reflections on my desk, but let's just try to deal with the reflections. I just put my multimeter in series with the board, and I'm curious to see when I start to ramp up the voltage, are the current going to rise and what is happening here. Last time I had only 2 LEDs lighted on top of the 7 segments and nothing else. Oh, really? Now we have an error. Nice. And we have a small amount of current. And yes, we have a process here. And now error 66. 67. Whoa, we have multiple errors. Let's see. There should be an error table. Yeah, so the first one, 56, it is there. So it basically means over voltage, battery is being overcharged. Then we have a 64. What is 64? Oh, 64. Clutch servo feedback potentiometer out of calibration. Of course, I don't have a potentiometers connected at now. It is okay. And 64. Is the clutch servo feedback potentiometer. So yes, it shows us the over voltage error and the feedback errors from the motors. But of course, we don't have a feedback potentiometers at now. But how I can try to reset that error? It's really hard to try to get on the camera. Now it's almost 56. Wait a moment, I will try to read from the manual. Can I somehow reset that over voltage alarm, because there is now no over voltage because I'm feeding only 12 volts. And if I have only the potentiometer circuits errors, then we can start assembly the units. Now I hooked everything in its place and I have all same errors. Alright, the beeping tone is saying same errors what are visible on 7 segment. And it is not doing anything. right. So none of the errors didn't go away. Either I put everything back together. So I have to now read the manual if there is some kind of reset procedure what I can do. Or what is problem here. But it is still process. We are now getting error codes. Before we got nothing. So let's keep the hope on. And I will give you more information when I have some. Well, I have been doing searching and troubleshooting without cam because it has been kinda hard or challenging. And as you can see, we have now new error message 65. And it is here 65. So excessive throttle, push-pull cable travel. The load of push-pull cable exceeds 14. Is that square pounds or something? Push-pull cable defective, processor throttle servo defective or low battery voltage. So we don't have a low battery voltage because now unit is showing $12 what I am feeding in, so it's fixed. And this is analog valve. I think it is throttle servo or clutch servo. I'm not sure which of servos it was. Here is another ADC valve of another servo. And that is throttle lever ADC valve. I'm now turning the throttle valve, and that's why the number is changing. And all those faults what was related to servo signals or battery voltage was caused by internal breakage of the PC board. And more specific, we have ground terminal there in input side, and there is perhaps Zener diode, I expect, what was blown totally, and that motor driver was blown and the main IC was blown, so it burned some ground trace inside of the PC board, and I noticed it because I had a good 5 volts. Actually, I can probably show you. I can probably show you what happens when I take off my jumper ground wire. Let's say the volts, and I am putting it now in the servo potentiometer reference voltage line. It is now 4.8, and it should not matter anymore. Am I using this ground here or that ground on the connector? It is the same reading. But if I open there my ground jumper, I lost my 5-volt reference. And now the unit is showing 3 volts as input voltage. But if I take my probe and use that ground, I still have that 5 volt. So that is way how I noticed that I have some kind of internal breakage on the PC board. And I did a jumper. Where is my needle? I'm not sure where is it now, but I made a jumper wire from here. Oh, bad focus, I'm sorry. Well, it did not get any better. But I measured that I have here a good 5 volts and good ground. So I made a jumper. Never mind this resistor, it is only part of my jumper wire, but it is basically twisted. So it is only a jumper wire. And I connected it here, because that PV line here is going also the servo connector, and it is giving a ground all these caps, and those are through holes from the back side of the unit, and they are used for the ADC conversions. And that's why if I lose my ground there, that will basically fuck up all ADC measurements from the board. But now I have the new fault. And it is related now, in my guess, the current sensing circuit in that servo motor driver chip. And my plan is now just take the cables off, take off the PC board, and compare those two circuits, because they should be pretty similar. That are there something what is also blown, what are used for the current sensing. And yeah, I will continue the troubleshooting and make a new video when I have something to report, because it is not entertainment to try to see what I am doing, and the components underside of the PC board is so tiny that I have to use my microscope for the inspections, and I don't have a microscope can, as I mentioned it earlier, so you can't see that part. I will briefly show you that jumper what I made for the ground connection. So I made it there. There is a capacitor what is just buffering the input voltage of those chips. All are the same. There is a plus 5 volts fed every chip and a grounding point. And I just made a jumper wire there to here. There could be some better places also to do that jumper trace, but I did it there now. And those caps here and those through holes between them are the grounding point for those resistors series networks, what are basically the ADC inputs from the throttle lever and the servo potentiometers. And if we don't have a ground, then of course the fed voltage will sneak through to the microcontroller, and the voltage is way much higher what it should be if we are grounding also the resistors. But now I'm trying to start figuring out, are those components somehow related for the current sensing, because these are the motor connections. So I assume that somehow somewhere here is also the current sensing circuit. But I will keep you updated when I have something new.